Her scream sliced through the quiet afternoon, sharp and raw, like a siren in a sleeping town. I was only steps behind, but by the time I reached her, my daughter Lila was sprawled on the sidewalk, her small body trembling. Blood poured from her knee, pooling on the concrete like dark ink. She clutched her leg, her face contorted in pain, tears streaming. My heart stopped. I dropped beside her, hands shaking, pressing my jacket against the wound. "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm here," I whispered, though my voice cracked with panic. My phone had slipped from my pocket, lost somewhere in the grass. I glanced up, desperate for help, and there she was, Margaret, standing on her porch, arms crossed, watching us like we were a problem she didn't want to solve. I waved frantically. "Please, Margaret, call 911. Lila's hurt." She didn't budge. Her lips tightened, and she shook her head. "I'm not getting involved," she said, her voice flat, before turning and disappearing inside. The soft click of her door echoed louder than Lila's sobs. Cars slowed, faces peered from windows, but no one stopped. Not until the sirens came. Not until it was almost too late. It had been one of those perfect suburban days in our quiet Ohio neighborhood, the kind where the world feels gentle. Lila, my 8-year-old with developmental delays, had just left her speech therapy session. She'd said a new word that morning, sunshine, clear and proud, pointing at the golden light filtering through the trees. For Lila, every word was a victory, a tiny crack in the walls that made speaking so hard. We'd celebrated with a strawberry smoothie, her favorite, and started our walk home, her small hand in mine. She hummed a little tune, her curls bouncing as she skipped ahead, clutching her empty cup like a prize. Our street, Maple Grove, was lined with tidy lawns and blooming flower beds, the kind of place where kids rode bikes and neighbors waved. As we passed Margaret's house, Lila spotted a ladybug on a rosebush. "Pretty," she called, louder than usual, her voice bright with courage. Margaret was out front, pruning her hedges with gleaming shears. She glanced up, gave a curt nod, but didn't smile. I felt that familiar chill, her silent judgment, but brushed it off. Today was Lila's day, and I wouldn't let a cold stare ruin it. Then it happened. Lila's sandal caught on a jagged sidewalk crack, one we'd all complained about at HOA meetings, but never fixed. She pitched forward, her small body hitting the concrete with a sickening thud. The world froze. Then came her scream, piercing, primal, a sound that tore through me. I ran to her, dropping everything. Her knee was gashed open, blood soaking the pavement. "Mommy, it hurts," she wailed, her eyes wide with fear. I pressed my jacket to the wound, my hands trembling, whispering, "I'm here, baby, I've got you." My phone was gone, lost in the chaos. I looked up and saw Margaret on her porch, watching us. "Please, call 911. I begged. She tilted her head, as if weighing her options, then spoke those chilling words, "I'm not getting involved." She turned and walked inside, her door shutting with that quiet, final click. I stared, stunned, as Lila sobbed beneath me. Rage and fear churned inside, but I had no time for either. I spotted my phone in the grass, grabbed it, and dialed 911, choking out the words, "My daughter's bleeding. Please hurry." The dispatcher's calm voice guided me as I kept pressure on Lila's wound. "Stay with her, keep her talking," she said. I whispered to Lila, trying to distract her, but her small voice broke through. "Why didn't she help, Mommy?" I had no answer, only a tightening in my chest. 5 minutes felt like hours, each second stretching as Lila's blood seeped through my jacket. The street was eerily empty, no neighbors, no help, just curtains twitching in windows. Margaret's blinds shifted slightly. She was still watching, sipping from a mug, unmoved. Finally, sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flooded the street, and neighbors emerged, suddenly curious. "What happened?" one asked, as if Lila's screams hadn't been loud enough. The paramedics rushed to us, their questions a blur as I clung to Lila's hand. Margaret's blinds snapped shut, and I felt a fire ignite inside me. She had chosen to do nothing, and I would never forget it. The ER was sterile and cold, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Lila lay on a hospital bed, her leg bandaged, her face pale. She wasn't crying anymore, just staring at the ceiling, silent in a way that scared me more than her screams. The doctors said she needed stitches deep but clean, no bone damage. "She's lucky," one said. I nodded, but luck felt like a lie. I held her hand through the procedure, whispering stories about talking rabbits to keep her calm. But every few minutes, she'd whisper, "Why didn't she help?" I kissed her forehead, dodging the question, because the truth was too cruel. Margaret had looked at my bleeding daughter and decided she wasn't worth a phone call. As I sat there, guilt gnawed at me. Why had I stayed quiet when Margaret complained about Lila's therapy equipment in our yard? When she left notes about noise from Lila's joyful squeals? I'd kept the peace, thinking it protected us. But peace hadn't kept Lila safe. It had left her bleeding, alone, while a neighbor watched and walked away. The next morning, I opened my phone and typed a post, my hands shaking but resolute. Yesterday, my disabled daughter fell and bled on our street. I begged a neighbor for help. She looked me in the eyes and said, "I'm not getting involved." Lila is 8. She asked me why no one helped. I had no answer. This isn't about drama, it's about a culture that says, "Not my problem," when a child is hurting. I hit post, my heart pounding. At first, it was quiet. Then, comments flooded in. "This is heartless." Name the HOA. Strangers shared stories of being ignored because their kids were different. A nurse offered to check on Lila. A man 2 streets over said Margaret had targeted him, too. The post went viral when a local group reposted it, captioned, "Is this our community?" Neighbors commented, some supportive, others defensive. "She's not legally obligated to help," one wrote. Another snapped back, "She's human." That's enough. The neighborhood split. Some brought meals and cards for Lila, admitting they'd watched from windows, too scared to act. One woman, tears in her eyes, said, "I thought someone else would help." I'm sorry. Her honesty hurt, but healed. Others rallied behind Margaret, claiming my post was slander. The HOA issued a statement about community safety, but called the incident a misunderstanding. Then came their letter warning to me for disruptive behavior and dividing the community. I stared at it, furious. They were protecting silence, not Lila. I took the letter to the next HOA meeting, the room buzzing with tension. Holding it up, I said, "I was warned for telling the truth that my daughter bled, and a neighbor did nothing. If truth divides us, then this HOA values silence over safety." A neighbor stood. "If we care more about lawns than kids, what are we?" The room erupted in murmurs. The board promised an emergency session on community ethics, but I wasn't holding my breath. A week later, I knocked on Margaret's door, not to scream, but to understand. "Lila could have died," I said calmly. "You saw us. Why didn't you help?" The curtain twitched, but no answer came, just silence, thick and heavy. I walked away, exhausted but resolved. Then came the final twist. Days after the ambulance, Margaret filed a complaint not about Lila, but because the EMTs had blocked her driveway. The HOA fined us for it. I laughed, bitter and hollow. But the community had shifted. A group of moms organized a walk for Lila, wearing blue ribbons, ending where she fell. Lila watched from our porch, smiling faintly. It was enough. This wasn't just about Lila. It was about a culture that prioritizes image over humanity, where rules trump compassion. Margaret didn't need to be a hero, she just needed to care. She chose not to. But I choose differently. I'll speak up for Lila and every child who deserves better. Our neighborhood is changing, one honest conversation at a time. Silence lost its grip that day, and it won't hold us again. What do you think? Have you ever faced injustice or violence and been ignored? Would you have helped Lila or stayed silent like Margaret? Share your thoughts below. Let's talk about what compassion means in a world that too often looks away.